Hi there, Pure Plant Girl here. Well, I've got a mess of little baby seedlings here in this tray, and I really need to get them pricked out of here and put into some larger containers. So all this is that I have here that I've planted them in is just a channel tray. If I can lift it up here, hopefully you can see. And then I actually have a 10 by 20 watertight tray in the bottom with just a couple of like food containers, kind of like this, flipped upside down. And I have a couple of microfiber cloths hanging over the edges of those food containers. And that has created a little bit of a self-watering tray for me. So I pour water into my watertight container. The microfiber cloth soaks it up. This channel tray is sitting on the microfiber cloth, and it's soaking the water into the tray from that cloth. So it works pretty good actually, except for the two outer edges aren't touching the cloth, just the way the trays worked out for me. If I'd put something better in there that was flatter all the way across, it'd work for all the channels, but the two outer ones aren't getting wet, but that's fine. But I thought I'd just show that to you in case you wished you had a self-watering container and just wanted something quick and easy and cheap that you could throw together, probably with things you have at your house, because that's all I did. So what is in here is a lot of my kind of more cold tolerant seedlings. There's a couple things that maybe aren't, but most of this is pretty cold tolerant seedlings. They'll probably go out before my average last frost date. And those are the things I'm going to be working on getting out of here right now. So I'm going to take, this is Dianthus Rainbow Loveliness. This was from Heritage Harvest Seeds. It's just a really nice Dianthus. It has kind of feathery flowers on it in shades of like pinks and purples. A very nice little Dianthus. So I got it as free seed last year and I liked it so much I bought some more. I'm really hoping it overwinters in my yard, but kind of borderline for some Dianthus, so I thought I'd plant some more just in case it doesn't. Then these two spots here that almost look like I just have moss growing probably from your view. This is Foxglove. And the reason it's seeded so thickly is because this was saved seed, and Foxglove seed is almost like dust. It's very, very, very fine. So I saved these off of some Camelot mixed Foxgloves, and I won't be repotting all of these. I will be pricking out a few, and the rest will probably just go in the compost because I don't need that many and I don't have space. I'd love to save them all, but there is probably hundreds of foxglove right here. I don't have space for that. And then next to that is some Snapdragons. So I have, I believe I have the order as Snaptastic, Snaptini, and Rocket Mix. Snapdragons are also very small seeds, but these are all a little bit more cold tolerant. These Snapdragons will probably go outside in the next month to 6 weeks, so well before my average last frost. Next to that is Bacopa that I collected from my Bacopa plant last year. So this is from Save Seed, and my plant last year was actually planted from Save Seed. And I wasn't sure if I actually had seed in my little mixture of detritus that I collected off the Bacopa this year. It didn't seem to want to give up its seed well, but I do have a few. I won't be planting these out yet. They're still kind of popping once in a while. I'll get a new one germinating, and they're very, very small yet. I don't really feel like I want to be handling these quite yet at this stage. And this over here, I have no idea what it is. I found when I was going through my seed container, off in a container full of little extra like baggies and extra packaging that I sometimes save, I found a vial of seeds. It wasn't with a package. It's not labeled. It was pelleted seed, so I know it was purchased seed, but I have no idea what it is. Not a clue. I'm hoping as it grows up, I'll get a little better idea. At this point, it could be Snapdragons, but I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna leave these a little bit longer as well. They could come out right now. They're starting to get a set of true leaves on them and they're getting a good size. But again, I have a couple that are just starting to come up. So I'd like to just leave them a little bit longer and see how many come up here. I can't remember how many pelleted seed were in there, but I think we must be getting close to the end. I think there probably wasn't much more than 20 or maybe 30 at the most. I really should have wrote that down somewhere. But so probably next week, I'll put these in a seed tray and hopefully figure out what they are before they get planted out so I know where to put them. But today I'm going to focus on the Dianthus, the Foxgloves, and the Snapdragons. That'll clear up quite a few channels that I can be re-sowing with other seeds that I need to get done this week and next. All right, so when you're using these channel trays, you really just want to be they're just kind of to germinate a lot of plants at once. So you're not taking up time in case some don't germinate. Or, with things like the Foxglove that was very, very fine seed, I mean, I would have had to do so much thinning in a little seed tray that it would have just been almost too much. Whereas I can pull a chunk of these out and I'll probably only be able to need like a chunk about this big to pull out, and I could probably have enough plants to fill the cells I'm going to be filling with those. But this just kind of makes it so it's in a small space while you're waiting for them to germinate, and not taking up a whole shelf and a lot of soil in that for seeds that maybe you're not sure are going to germinate, or you just want to be able to thin them out and be a little more meticulous with them than this kind of planting in your cell trays. So the first plants that I'm going to work on here are my Dianthus, and I'm just going to be putting them into these trays here. So these are actually 4-packs that I have here, but they're a good size 4-pack, and I'm going to put 2 in each pack. Now again, that's not going to use up everything I have here, but I am hoping that I had some over winter, and even if I only get 16 plants going here this spring, I think that's plenty. And I do have to keep in mind that I just can't save every baby because I need room. And as you can see, my shelf is already getting full. No worries, I have plans. This happens every year, but I have to rein in my enthusiasm for starting plants. So I'm gonna get these going, and I thought I'd bring you along. So I'm just gonna go and I'm just going to gently lift the Dianthus out, and I'm going to handle it by the leaves as much as possible and just lift it like that. And I'm going to dib a hole on the corner and just push it in. So it might look a little sad for me handling it here like that, but it'll get over that once it gets a good drink and has a day to recover. So I'm just going to continue to go through this tray of Dianthus, pulling them up. And let me just show you here. If you can see the 2 bottom leaves, there's one right there, one there, one there. If you can see those. Those are cotyledons. And those are like the first seed leaves that push out of the soil. And they look very similar on almost every seedling. There's a few different plants that have a slightly different looking cotyledon, but most of them look very similar. Then the leaves that come after that, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are your true leaves. Those are the leaves that look like what the plant leaves should look like. So on the Dianthus, they're somewhat similar to the cotyledon leaves, but they're a little bit longer and more narrow than the cotyledon leaves. So if you hear people talking about that, the seed leaves or cotyledon leaves, that's that first set that pops through the soil, and the true leaves are the ones that are actually what the plant will have. The cotyledon leaves will often yellow and fall off. Don't panic, don't worry about that. They're supposed to, it's okay. So now that we've had that little plant lesson, I'm just gonna dib another hole here and make it a little wider because there's quite a bit of soil on there, and I'm gonna take that with me because that'll be good for the roots. So I'm just going to, like I said, keep putting 2 in each of these little sections of these 4-packs, and I'll bring you back when that's done, and we'll move on to the foxglove because I think it might be a little bit more interesting to separate. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that is 16 little Rainbow Loveliness Dianthus, all pricked out and potted up into a little bit larger cells there. So as you can see, I probably have 18 left here, but I'm not going to worry about them. Once I'm done today, I'll clean this tray out of these channels that I've worked with. Once I have all of my seedlings that I'm potting up today in their trays, I am going to be taking some root booster. Now, I happen to have the Promix stuff. You don't need to use Promix, you don't need to use any, but this will help to encourage the plant to just set some healthy roots and grow, because they've just been through some trauma here. So I will put some water in the bottom of the tray and let them soak down and let them soak up that water really well, and it will contain that root boost. But for now, I'm just going to pop these out of my way, and I'll come back and water them when I'm ready for all my trays to be watered. This is a pretty small table I've set up in this room, but I think I've got it set up so you can see what I'm going to do next. So I'm just going to go through. My plan is I have 9 packs in this tray here, so that's just 3 by 3, and I've just filled them all up with my own homemade growing mix. And I'm going to put 1 seedling in each cell of these 9 packs. And I am planning to use 2 9-packs for each of the next things that I do here. So I'm just going to go through right now before I start popping out those foxglove seedlings, because I think they're going to be kind of a mess to work with. And I'm just going to dip a little hole in each cell. Okay, so now with these foxgloves, I think I'm going to go, I was using the fancy bamboo skewer to get the Dianthus out there because it works well for individual little plants like that. But I think for these foxgloves, something like this where I can just kind of pull out a clump and divide them is going to be the easiest. So that's the little clump I've pulled out, and hopefully you can see all the stems there, how many foxglove seedlings are in that pack, in that spot. I'm not sure why I filled 4 channels of these. Maybe I had ambitious plans a week and a half ago or whatever it was when I planted these, but I don't anymore. So now I'm just going to pull them out. Like I said, I'm going to try and go for 1 seedling per cell here. There might be more, and this little clump, pop it in, pop it in. That might be 2. So I'm just going to go through and just pull them apart, just pop them in there. So that's all I'm doing to get these foxglove seedlings put down in this soil. Okay, last one. And you can see this clump doesn't even probably look like it's changed at all, hardly, from when I just showed it to you, and that's all I pulled out of there. I don't know why I planted so many. Oops, there's 2 there, but that's okay. So I may take a couple clumps like this and just pop them into some small pots, just in case any of these don't pull through. I'll have some backups, because I do want to clean out a couple of rows of this tray for the next seeds that I want to be planting. So now we're into the, oh, I better label that. Don't forget your labels. Foxglove from Saved Seed. There, foxglove from Saved Seed right there. Okay, so it's just going to be the exact same process for the most part here with the Snapdragons. The only difference is they're not sown quite so thickly as the foxgloves, so they'll be easier to separate. So I'm just going to get my little dibber, get my holes started here. And so this one channel is Snaptastic. So just pull them out, grab a few, and I'll just start separating them out. and popping them in the holes, pushing the soil gently up around them, and move on to the next one. If you rip a leaf off, that's fine. That's why you're handling them by the leaves and not by the stem, because if you smash the stem up, then the plant has no way of getting the nutrients and water up to the rest of the plant, and you will kill it. So okay, so I'm just going to go through, fill this whole tray with the rest of my Snapdragons, and I'll bring you back at the end, and we'll do a little wrap up on what I've done here. Okay, so I have all my little seedlings that I'm going to take out of this tray, popped into their cell trays here. So my Dianthus, that's in its own little tray, sitting over here on my shelf, right here. And then this big tray of Foxgloves and Snapdragons. As you can see, I still have quite a few, well, Foxgloves for sure, and Snapdragons, and even a few Dianthus. So what you could do with these, if you didn't have room to do a lot of cell trays, is you could just get a small, like 4-inch or 3-inch pot and take them out and heavily transplant them into a cup or container like that. And you could put, a dozen or so into a small container like that, let them grow on for a while before you needed to put them into a larger container or out into the ground. So that's another way that you could do that if you need some space saving in your growing setup. I may do that with a few of these just in case I have anything fail for some reason in this tray. I don't expect that, but you never know. Or if I could give a few away then later on if I wanted to. But most of these are just going to be pulled out and put in the compost. So this tray is ready to be restarted on this side anyways, for the next set of plant seedlings that I want to start. These trays I'm just going to be putting on my shelf here. My lights are off right now just to try and make the lighting a bit better for you in the video. But normally the lights are on here 16 hours a day. They go off at night just to give the plants a little break. But that's where these will go. And I'll be bottom watering. Like I said before, I will give them some of the root boost solution in with the water just to help get them a really good, strong, healthy root system. And I do have some slower release granular fertilizer mixed in with my potting mix that I have put in these trays here. So that will start to break down and work its way into the mix and into the root systems of these plants. So they should have a really good start to life here. In about a month, I will start hardening these off and transitioning them out into my greenhouse and even into the ground depending on the weather. Here in Saskatchewan, we might still have a foot of snow on the ground in mid-April, or it might be all melted away and warm enough that I could start putting the plants in the ground. So a lot of these seedlings are good Snapdragons and the Dianthus for sure. As soon as your soil is workable, that you could put them in the ground. Now, if you wind up with a hard frost, you need to be prepared to go and put a frost blanket or a sheet or a box or something over them to protect them from a hard frost. But they can take near freezing temperatures outside if they've been hardened off properly. So I think that's pretty much all you need to know for these plants. They're all going to want full sun and good average moisture. One more thing, I get asked a lot about Foxgloves, or comments a lot about Foxgloves for people that live in a zone 3 like I do or colder, is why are you growing Foxgloves? They don't bloom the first year. Yes, Foxgloves are biennial. These Camelot Foxgloves that I grow, and there's a few other varieties, will bloom your first year. So you just have to read the description for the seeds that you're growing and pay attention. And some foxglove do bloom the first year. They've been bred to do that. I've had good success even with saved seed from those varieties in the past. So I expect to have good success with blooms this year as well. But that is something to pay attention to because a lot of foxgloves are not hardy to be outside below zone 4, I believe it is. So anyone like myself that's in a colder region than that, you want to look for foxgloves that say they will bloom their first year. They are a biennial plant, so many foxgloves being biennial will just put up leaves the first year and they'll have a beautiful clump and rosette of leaves, but they won't actually put their flower spike up until the second year. So pay attention to that if you're in a cold zone like myself so that you know which foxgloves to purchase and buy. And no, they won't come back the next year, but they will probably self-seed for you out in the yard and you'll have a few more pop up the next year. So I think that covers it all. If you have any more questions or any comments to make, please share down in the comment section below. It's good to see the conversations that can happen down there. Hit that thumbs up if you are into your seed starting and excited to get going this year. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.